So I noticed a little while ago that you did a viral video on YouTube that talked about the privacy of science and understanding the universe.
Yes, now let me point out that when you said you did a video,
Let
let me just point out, I was interviewed in February. And here's a little exponential growth lesson, everybody. It languished on the internet, probably growing slowly, people emailing it to each other, linking it to each other, and whoop, it went like that in August. Yeah. So go ahead.
And shortly after that, the rumors of your death.
They kill me every year. That's when college starts.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It began with The Onion. You guys know The Onion? Not everything in The Onion is true. And so I was killed with a weather balloon that had been inflated with vinegar and baking soda. First of all, the means of dying that way is not obvious, but vinegar and baking soda evolves carbon dioxide gas, which is heavier than air. So, I mean, there probably is some application for a heavier than air weather balloon. So, for the skeptics, but yeah, I feel like you had some more to say.
Always.
So the spreading of the rumor this particular time from people who didn't understand that the Onion article was
Perhaps not voracious.
was mostly done through groups in the United States that I would say were maybe counter-science.
Shocking!
Who for some reason don't like you, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, I'm not attacking anybody's religion, but the earth is not 6,000 years old. You've got to have that for your religion. I really think you should rethink your beliefs. I mean, it's just not 6,000 or 10,000 years. It's just not. What do you want me to do? I got a smoke detector with americium in it. It's got a half-life that I had to make it into nuclear reactor. Yes, go on. Yes.
So often, I guess you speak to the converted, right? So you're here speaking at a science conference to science teachers. But you certainly must be informed in the United States where, you know, you're the American equivalent in that particular context of Richard Dawkins.
Of Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, well, that's
I've
not...
had dinner with Richard Dawkins. You guys know him?
Yeah.
And I love the guy, but I'm not at his. Say so. Go ahead.
So how do you structure a dialogue constructively with people who don't agree with you on a basic level? So how do you bridge?
Well, I start with, as I always say, this is a great critical thinking thing. This is a great question. I did not plant this woman. In critical thinking, in skeptical thought, I understand you had Michael Shermer here at one time. Yeah. You start with claims. So if you claim the Earth is 6,000 or 10,000 years old, then I can challenge that claim. Now, why do you believe that? What is the evidence for that? And especially if, which has happened, people start citing, quoting the Bible, written in English. And I just wonder, I don't know, was it Aramaic or something originally written? I just wonder if you got it all. Like if there's puns or nuances. Literally lost in the translation. When it says Satan or one of his colleagues took somebody else to the summit of the mountain, they could see the whole world. I'm not sure that the person who wrote that really believed you were seeing the whole world. I mean, the ancient Greeks knew that the world was round. So I think it's very likely that there's nuances or things in those translations where they kind of missed the point. And to stake your whole belief system on that, I think is not in your best interest, especially when you talk to me on your cell phone and you watch television and you eat farm food from a modern farm. You go to the doctor and get modern antibiotic drugs, especially when you do that, which is all based on science. I question your core. But so I start with the claim. Encourage your students to start with the claim. What is the claim? If you get into, you can't have, in scientific thought, you can't have a falsifiable hypothesis. Did you see that? My head just expanded to the edge of the universe. It came back down faster than you can see it. Really? So I really encourage you, and so this is the thing about the internet that's so instructive. There's so much more information than there ever used to be, but it's of lower quality. So students have to learn to sift through that. But you may have seen these extraordinary demonstrations where they bring out a steer, a big animal, and have everybody in the audience text in the guess weight, and people get it within half a kilo or whatever. It's really amazing. Crowdsourcing, that sort of thing is very good. But in science, when progress is made is when you question the old beliefs, when the thing everybody took for granted turns out to be wrong. So the claims, focus on the claims. That's a great question. Yes?